Hi everybody, Sir Marcus here from Shire of Biting Winds in Goldenvale. I'm here to teach about how to build an Amtgard legal arrowhead for for relatively cheap from parts you can get by and large from local stores. There are a number of different ways to build arrowheads. Mine is not the only way. Mine is legal for the current rule set as of 2024, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Basic materials you will need. Basic materials you'll need are some sort of foam ball, gamma balls, the foam practice tennis balls, superhero balls you can get from the dollar store. All of these are generally speaking appropriate as long as they're not like super hard or super soft, but squeezy, squishy, doesn't leave bruises. You need foam, interlocking foam, floor foam like this. This stuff's a little thinner than I prefer, so I'll cut two sections out of this, but if you can get it thick enough, or you can get this kind of foam thick enough, you can cut individual circles out of it. You'll cut your circles like so. You also need a 2 to 3 inch section of some sort of noodle type foam. This is the black foam we use for swords. It's just a cut off section. We're going to cut that into a cone later. You need PEX, 3/8 diameter PEX. That is, you can get that at Home Depot. Specifically PEX, not PVC. The diameter is thinner and it fits on arrow shafts nicely. You need a 1 inch number 8 machine screw with a 30 seconds thread pitch, or 32 thread pitch, so an 8-32 bolt. You need an 8-32 nut and a number 8 lock washer, and then you need two 1/8 inch fender washers that are 1 inch in diameter. You can sometimes get away with a single one if you find a vendor that is selling them in a thicker gauge, but as far as I can tell, the gauge of 1 inch fender washers that are available at Home Depot and Lowe's are too thin to be used by themselves, but double stacked they make a nice 12 gauge steel disc, and they will work for our purposes. Now, let's see some other things that are helpful. You will need strapping tape. It's the nylon reinforced strapping tape you use for packing heavy boxes. You'll need electrical tape, and then an adhesive to adhere the layers together. I will oftentimes use DAP, but one of the things that is kind of a sleeper material for use is double stick carpet adhesive. Duck brand is the brand I use. You can get it at Walmart for $3-4 a roll. There's a ton on there and it works really well. It's very adhesive, and like the nylon strapping tape, it is nylon reinforced with like a hatch pattern, which is helpful for reinforcing everything and making sure nothing punches through between foam layers. All right, as far as tools go, you need scissors, a screwdriver, and a pair of pliers, a snap knife, preferably one of the heavier duty ones, but any snap knife you do will work, and super glue. All right, so from there, let me readjust my camera and we will start working, piece by piece. Okay, so we've got our materials, we've got our tools, we've got everything we need. So to start out, the base of the safety, what makes an Amtgard arrow safe is the blunt. So what we're going to do is we are going to take the two washers. We're going to take the two washers, we're going to run through. You're going to take your lock washer, you're going to thread it all on there like so. So you can do this with your fingers to get it finger tight for now, but then that's where the wrench or pliers and the screwdriver go. You want to get this nice and tight and torqued down. So you can see it's tight, it's locked in on there. Now what we're going to do for a little bit extra safety is we are going to use super glue, and we're going to drop super glue there, super glue there. So on the lock washer and on the threads to provide a little bit of locking there. And then I also like to put a dot here, 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 and here to get it on the edges to kind of hold the washer together. And then also up top here on the head. You can do that all before you lace it all together, but as long as you've got it on there kind of holding all the pieces together, ideally the lock washer and the nut are going to hold everything together, and the glue is just added safety. So we're going to set that aside for the moment. Actually, no, we're not. So the next thing you do, you've got your 3-inch section of PEX. What we're going to do here is you get this nice and tight on here, and then you jam it down in. Now I have the problem of I have super glued this to myself, because, you know, when you know. So what we're going to do, we press that all together like that. So it's press fit in here. You get it nice and square on here, as square as you can get it. You check down the tube to make sure it's nice and lined up. It's off center on the camera, but I assure you from me looking straight down it, it is lined up and ready to go. So you've got your piece put together like this. You press that in there, same as before. You use your super glue. Try a little bit of super glue there, like that. And then that's where you're going to set this aside. So the next thing you need is your piece of fun. Now I've already prepped this ahead of time so you don't have to watch me fiddle with it with the knife. But what you're going to do, you're going to take your snap knife, you're going to run it out as long as you can, and you're going to work at an angle around it until you make a cone. Now you can do this on a bandsaw and it's much cleaner, but we can also do this with a knife. So what you're going to do there is you're going to slide this in like so that it lines up like that. You get it nice and flat in there, and once again you glue it on. I recommend dapping this along here so that it's got a nice adhesive thing here, but for our purposes here, I don't have time to dap, so I've prepared a different one that is already dapped on. You can see it doesn't go anywhere. You've got your washer glued in. You've got this here. This is the base for your built-up base, all your structures around here. So the next step on this, you're going to take your carpet tape or your DAP, and you are going to glue it. Like I said, I prefer carpet tape because it has that nylon crosshatch in it, which provides reinforcement. But what you're going to do is you're going to run this over here like that, glue it on, get it nice and firmly in there. You can see this stuff sticks on pretty well, like it doesn't want to come off. So we've got the one, we're going to cut 3 more actually. All right, so the next one you are going to do on the same spot here in a cross pattern. Now my goal there is to kind of give a structured base that is glued, adhered to this here, and it provides 2 layers of this nylon filament so that you're very unlikely to have this punch all the way through because of the width of it. So you take your discs. Now my discs are slightly off-sized because I hand cut them, but what we're gonna do, and the hole that you see there is because I was messing around with these. These are actually normally not cut with a hole in them, but now they're in here. We'll press that in. Once again, we put the nylon strap over here. Once again, like so. Press these all in here. I've torn these apart a couple times, so if you see the foam being kind of beat up here, it's because I've been using this for a demo over and over again. Normally use good, fresh, new foam if you're building these. So last step, you've got your ball. You've got your ball that's cut in half. Again, don't use one that's all cut up like that. But what we're gonna do here is we're gonna press all of that on here. You got your basic arrow shape here. You know, now the problem here you got is if you really give it a good tug, it's gonna come apart. So that's where the next step comes in. From here, we use our strapping tape. The nice thing about strapping tape is once you find the end on it, you can peel it into narrow strips. So what I need is 3 strips about 12 inches long. And what we're gonna do is starting right here, you work your way up, you make sure it's nice and tight and glued to every layer. And you're going to cut it across here, making sure not to cross anything over like I just did here, because I'm good at that. So start that one over. If you mess up the tape, just get a new piece. It's easier than fighting the tape. Tape is cheap, and arrows, it's important to be, you know, precise and consistent so that there's no avenue of failure. So like you see here, I've got this going along here all the way around, a single piece of tape starting on this side, running all the way over. We're going to do the same here, and we're going to cross it over like this right at the tip. We're going to work our way down, tape it down, like so. So again, you've got them offset. You've got this crossed over like so. From there, trim your tape a little bit because you don't want it all hanging over. But also clean your scissors because tape, the glue on tape messes with your scissors. Don't use your good fabric scissors for this. Here, we got our last strip of tape. We're going to start it. And so the goal is to get it all lined up where the center of the arrow shaft is underneath this triangle underneath here. And you can see they're nice and evenly spaced around here so that they're all connected down to the plastic down here, which connects them back to the center, and just kind of puts everything together. You don't want to torque this down, you don't want it to be super tight, but you want it all held together so it doesn't come apart. Okay, so the final step on this, we're going to take our electrical tape. All right. Starting down here, this is where you are going to torque wrap. You torque wrap this just like this, all the way around, just like that, so that you've got a nice tight thing holding all these layers of tape together. Similarly, now you're not going to torque wrap here. You're going to go gently, so you're just laying the tape over this again to laminate all the layers together. But up here you do not want to torque wrap, because if you do that, you will end up compressing the foam and getting too small. So what you do is you wrap, and you wrap, and you wrap until you get down to where the taper of the cone comes in. You can go all the way down, but it's needless weight there, and it will get funky. But there is how you build an arrowhead. From this point, you can put whatever cover you want on it. But this is done. You can see it will thread in. Once you thread it onto a standard carbon fiber arrow shaft, it is ready to go. And let me flip this around. All right, so we have our finished arrowhead. You can see it's taped up, it's all synced together, nothing's coming apart. You can't pull it apart. No, it's not going to come apart at this point. This is where you cover it. Once it's covered, it's ready to be used. You thread it onto an arrow shaft,
And then once it's on the arrow shaft, you tape it onto the arrow shaft, up onto the arrow shaft, so it's not going to come loose. Some key points on this: using a lock washer and glue on the bolt and washers will help keep it all together so that it doesn't twist loose inside. Similarly, press fitting it into the tube helps provide that positive traction so that it was not going to turn internally, which would make it illegal. But as long as you take care of these, as long as you're not getting them soaking wet and the glue breaking down in them, these will last a long time. They are very durable. I have never had one fail. I've made more than 1,000 of these. So it's just a matter of making them right, and you'll have a good, safe, consistent arrow. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about it. I'm more than happy to go over design. There are a number of other ways that these can be made, but this is the one that I've found is the easiest for someone who doesn't have specialized tools to do. Thanks.